we're getting towards the end of this now, and
Okay.
I always ask people, if there's something that they could tell map makers who are maybe just getting into map making that could help them along the way. Any advice for them?
Oh, okay. So, long story short, don't build like a ship or like an outline and then say to yourself, what objective should be here? Every time I see someone do that, I die a little bit inside because that's not how you should be making maps. You should have your concept, you should have your idea. You should be thinking about, where does this player want to go? Where would I defend this map? What are my incentives to do X, Y, and Z? You should think about those gameplay elements before you actually build the map. And you'd think that would be like, man, I should probably not place the spawn right next to the objective. Like, that would be a standard thing nowadays, but people still do that. And it's just, you save yourself so much time if you consider those things. You make like a wireframe before you start building, and then lock yourself into something that is fundamentally broken.
Man, good advice. Good advice. The most important question and the most controversial question I ask is next. Blue or red?
Oh, blue. Fishnets all the way.
All right. Yeah, I would have lost a little bit of respect for you if you said red, but we could have still been friends.
Okay.
Now, we're pretty much at the end of the interview, but again, in case there's something you wanted to talk about that I didn't bring up, here's your chance to talk about anything you want.
Do you have any questions about like when I was event coordinator and what that entailed? Because that's something that most people ask about.
Sure. I mean, I haven't interviewed an event coordinator yet. I've done a couple map devs. So, yeah, what were your responsibilities as event coordinator? This kind of stuff that maybe went on behind the scenes people don't know about.
So the way I got into the event team was back in Guardians of the Wool. Electrode is basically doing all the maps on his own. Mm-hmm. And props to him. He does a lot of stuff as a map dev and now he's like an admin and developer. He was overworked at the time and has always tried his hardest, but he was making all of the decisions on his own, and some of them were kind of subpar. And even though I was competing in Guardians of the Wool, I, in no small way, had a lot of influence over what ended up in the map pool. I basically removed Fairy Tales from the map pool because that map is not ready for competitive play. Mm-hmm. And was close to vetoing Golden Drought 1, which I knew was going to be bad and was very bad. But then Fairy Tales was the only other option, and that was honestly worse. And then I got Wits End in there. Krat and his friends handled RV1, and that whole map pool I had a lot of influence over. And after that tournament, the team I was on, Polaris, that was like me and a few buddies that ended up all leaving Minecraft after that tournament. I went to the event team and said, you guys need someone who is just in charge of maps because Electroid can't really do all of this on his own. And Hazi said, yeah, definitely. And basically within the day, I was an event coordinator. And we had a talk about how I wasn't going to be doing ref stuff and how I didn't want to do referee stuff. And from there, I forget what happened right after. No, it was Conquest 1. Conquest, I did basically the whole map pool for. Limbo 2, I straight up commissioned off Panda Boy, said, I need you to make Limbo 2 right now, and this is kind of what it needs to look like as a standard 3-hill King of the Hill. Made Ascendance myself, and that was an experimental concept that developed over a month. And last one was Facility, which was just a good map overall. And that tournament went really well. After that, for Age of Air, actually no, Breaking Core, no, not Breaking Core. House of Cores came before that, and I was kind of MIA for that because I'm not a very experienced DTC map maker.
Yeah.
Well, I have experience. I don't consider myself good at it because most of it is just figuring out all the cannons and all the players and what they're gonna break and fixing that. That's just too high maintenance and not enough actual map making. I didn't find that enjoyable. But for Age of Ares, I stepped up, did most of the map pool for that. I got a few people on board because that was a larger map pool than Conquest, obviously. I got Strange and Nyx, and I saw Strange making a lot of good developments into like CTW maps and trying to find something to sort of fix the genre. And Nyx was, at the time, nobody really knew who he was. He wasn't anybody. He was just some guy in the forums who was releasing maps, and he started out with Smoke. And I looked at Smoke, and Smoke was really good. It was kind of like that one guy who nobody had ever heard of releasing Viridin, and suddenly that's an incredible map. So I got Nyx along on it, and Cretane too, as like our resident. He knows everything about team strategies and what would be broken and what wouldn't. And we got that map pool banged out. It was a little bit sloppy. One of my biggest regrets from Age of Ares, besides Cake Wars not having an alternative, because that map was just bad.
Yeah.
Was Verdant Corridors, which started as one flag. I scoured the community for people to make good CTF maps. We had a contest for it and everything. And no offense to people who participated in that contest, but all of them sucked. So I literally sat down, and within a day, made my own one flag CTF. I knew it was going to be mediocre. I knew it would fit the requirements of being on a competitive setting, and it did exactly that.
Well, you must have been Mr. Popular after that, then, though.
Yeah.
I did something similar. A friend of mine held a contest for people to build a hub for a faction server he ran. And he picked me and a couple other guys to review it and all the entries and stuff like that. And we did it on video. We were pretty harsh with some of the entrances. And, man, did we get some hate for that. So was there any kind of like blowback from that where you didn't pick any of them or used your own?
Brett handled that, honestly. Shout out to Brett for being... I can't fault him for making some not perfect decisions, but he's done a lot of stuff on his own, and he's handled some of the backlash incredibly well. Mm-hmm. Just props to him on the event team for doing so much more than he probably should have had to.
Yeah, whether you're, I guess, doing the events or just upper administration on a server like this, I guess you kind of have to get used to taking crap from the community, because even myself, I'm one of the people that will mouth off in the forums having my own opinion about how things are supposed to be done. Everybody does it, whether you're new to the community or been there for 4 years. Everybody is always going to have an opinion that's going to differ from yours, and you're always going to get flack. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be tough. So aside from being event coordinators or anything else, or do you have more to talk about that before we end this interview?
The only other question I could think of that someone would ask is why I resigned a month ago before OCN even announced shutting down.
Okay.
And I guess I could ask myself that and then answer it.
Okay.
Basically, it was because Overcast as an organization didn't have the capital to just invest in competitive, namely for an anti-cheat, which was a huge development task that Cubist could not do alone.
Yeah.
And that just takes money, and marketing and advertising, which just takes money. And after a year and a half of asking for those things and not being able to get them, I got kind of frustrated and decided that the competitive scene wasn't going anywhere without those. And if Overcast can offer them, then I couldn't really justify staying around. So I left, and I was also very close to graduating high school. I had some stuff going on outside of Minecraft as a game.
Yeah,
but I had no idea that Overcast was in the state it is in terms of just making a profit and getting by.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad that it looks like it's going to end up closing up. But I can kind of see how or why I guess Apple and all them made the decision, because it is a business. I mean, you don't necessarily have to make a profit, but you do have to be able to, pay the bills.
Break even, at least, yeah.
Yeah, and the community has been shrinking a lot, and it does take money to do some of the things you mentioned. The advertising, yeah, some of the advertising you got to do, you got to put out money for, but the Overcast in general has just always been, sorry if I bug people, has been shit at advertising, because there's stuff you can do free, but they don't do, and it's always, I've never really understood why they don't do some things.
I can understand why they stay away from things like server lists and all that, because those are not very reputable, but...
Well, even with, YouTubers out there, it does, maybe it goes on behind the scenes and I don't see it, but I don't really see them reaching out to try to bring people in a whole lot as a network.
No, large YouTubers just cost money.
Well,
I'm serious. There's like spreadsheets out there for how much they cost. They're like back when like this was pretty secretive and not something mods were supposed to talk about at the time, but for the big Ghost Squadron reveal, there was some big money spent on the YouTubers that did specialize, or not specialize, but like showcase it.
Well, I definitely know there are people out there that will charge to go to the servers. I know some of them personally, and I know a lot of big YouTubers that don't charge for stuff like that. So I never understood why they still, I mean, yeah, maybe you can't go after those people that are going to charge you money, but not all of them do. Zach's Got Games, a good friend of mine, Camping Rusher, who maybe he does now, I don't know, but he didn't used to. He didn't used to charge to go on Overcast and stuff like that. I know he's banned for good reason from out here, but just examples. I mean, LD Shadow Lady at one time, I know she didn't. The Orion Sound, these are all people I know personally, I mean, that don't do stuff like that. So there are definitely others.
I'm not the person to ask about that, because I'm not the marketing guy.
Oh, I know, and I'm not trying to throw that all on you.
Yeah.
I just it's something that really didn't make sense to me.
I don't have answers for those questions.
Well, damn it, that's what you're here for.
Oh boy.
Well, again, I want to thank you for doing the interview, though, because I definitely learned a lot about some of the maps you've made and some of the history of the site, and that's why I do these. I don't get a ton of views on YouTube or anything with these interviews, but I find it really interesting since I spend so much time on Overcast to get a little bit of the history and some of the reasons for the decisions made going into some of these maps I spend so much damn time on. So really appreciate you doing these.
No, it's fine. It was a fun time. Definitely don't necessarily have better things to spend my time on at this point.
Well, that's it for today's interview, guys. Thanks for being here yourselves and watching, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of stuff in the description if he has anything he wants to link to, or whether it's a YouTube channel or some other website. And you can check out his stuff as well if you want. It's down in the description below. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for watching, guys. If you didn't get enough Spintown for today, you can click on either one of these thumbnails to watch another one of the interviews I've done with the map maker from Overcast, or you can click on the link in the description, which will take you to the entire playlist of interviews I've done so far. Until next week, spin out.